And welcome to the Take a Breather podcast with Stacy Eric and Eric Almeida. We are certified emotional freedom technique practitioners, and on this podcast, we discuss how EFT can help improve your mental and physical health by bringing real healing to the body and the mind. We also have different types of practitioners visit us on the show to tell us about their methods and how they can facilitate deep healing. As always, we greatly appreciate a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Like and subscribe to us on YouTube as well. That helps us the podcast out a ton. And today, I would love to introduce Hanna Ormanczyk. She is an osteopath, integrative medicine practitioner, and registered nutritional therapist, and she's based in Toronto, Canada. Welcome so much, Hanna, to the podcast.
Thank you so very much for having me.
Of course. And Stacy, you wanted to kick it off, so take it away.
Yeah, so let's start with some basics. You tell us a bit about who you are and your educational background and what it is you do.
Well, I was born and raised in Poland, and quite long journey to come to Canada, but I am in Canada for 30 years right now. And my education started practically in Europe, continue the countries I was being in, Germany, Greece, and Canada. Canada was the most, I would say, intense when it comes to the education academic-wise. So I did, I have go through colleges when it comes to nutrition, Edison College of Nutrition. I went through Canadian Consilium of Natural Medicine when it comes to the manual osteopathic practicing, and I am certified by Board of Integrative Medicine here in Toronto. So long journey, always study, never-ending story. Always in continual education. And I really believe, knowledge is never-ending story. You learn and you just realize you need more. There is more questions than answers. So
that's so true.
My kids are making fun of me because they think when I'm saying like, okay, guys, you know what? I think I'm done. And they both look at me like, are you? No, you're not. So, yes, I love this. I just simply love science. I love the fact our body is unbelievable when it comes to our unbelievable creatures. And all the answers are in us. So with the science, with medicine, with natural medicine, there is a huge library of anything and everything. So it's amazing.
Which is, I mean, that all by itself is such a, I love that way of thinking about the human body as an endless study of more things to learn, rather than there being this idea that we already know, we know enough, we don't need to learn anymore. I mean, it's turning away from that philosophy into constantly learning, I think, is something we all can benefit from. When it comes to integrative medicine, to the United States, I know more of integrative medicine is, I think it's more available than it used to be, but can you tell us more about what integrative medicine actually what that means?
Well, integrative medicine is a huge umbrella which will cover the wholeness of the body. So by saying integrative, it does integrate the allopathic medicine with the natural medicine, with the holistic approach, with the importance of our mind, our spirituality, everything build who we are. And integrative medicine is the one which actually capture all. And this is how we look at any health issue. Anything, whatever is happening in your body, it will have attachment to your psychological well-being, your spiritual well-being. Physically, the body will manifest on a way deeper levels than we are seeing only in allopathic medicine.
That's so true. Yeah, that's so true that, you know, conventional medicine, and Stacy and I have talked about this a bunch of times, conventional medicine just kind of chops you up into little pieces. And it's kind of like, you know, you have this problem in this organ. And it's like, well, that's the only thing we're going to look at. And it's like, well, that organ's connected to all the other organs and all the other systems. And there's still a person there too, who has thoughts and feelings and emotions and their own spirituality. And, you know, if someone's having, you know, if someone's having issues with their heart, and it's like, but they're also, maybe they're literally heartbroken, you know, maybe they lost a loved one, or they're, you know, or something like that, that plays a factor into why something might be biologically wrong with their heart. And, you know, conventional Western medicine sometimes just ignores all of that. And it's so unfortunate. So,
well, it's mostly we're asking the question why particular organ manifest this issue. There is a reason behind, always. So yes, academic medicine will cover the fact, okay, there is some existing something, so let's take care of that, and doesn't look into where it's coming from, which usually cover the symptoms, not the root. And that's something which in many situations will repeat itself, manifest in another organ, or it's going to be just a chain of events. So it is important to see our body as a wholeness. Like I said, we are billions of cells, neurons, and communication, and there is quite a lot happening. And we cannot just separate one organ and look at it and think like, okay, this is the problem. In so many cases, we have situation, the problem, disease is manifesting in one organ, but the actual problem is in completely other direction in other organ. And we need to see that. But again, I believe in general, if one day we're gonna have the full marriage of the academic medicine with the integrative, with the natural, with the holistic, then we're gonna have the most amazing system when it comes to medicine, helping people with their problems one day.
I love that future.
I know. And it's been such a great, I've had my own journey has been finding the connections, you know, realizing the connections between the parts that there are, because I'm very schooled in science, and I was very sciencey when I was a kid, and thinking in terms of parts versus the whole, and that everything is so deeply interconnected. And I'm thinking about the fact that, you know, we still marvel. So I'm also a massage therapist. Mm-hmm. And how often my clients marvel at, you know, they are having neck pain, but or they're having shoulder pain, but I'll work on their neck, and they realize, oh my God, my shoulder is completely better from you just working on my neck and didn't touch my shoulder. And there's this shock that, and in that case, they're right next to each other, you know.
Yeah. You know, but Stacy, when you're there, if you ask them at the same moment, okay, if they can go back to the time when they start feeling the pain, what happened in their lives? Connect to the emotional. Because how we're saying, our shoulders, we hold the world on our shoulders. The stress we hold on our shoulders. And this is literally when we're saying we're holding on. So when you allow them to actually realize there is emotional and spiritual connection to your pain, they actually have, how to say it, they connect better with their bodies. Because when you look at this and you know how it is, our body manifests anything, absolutely everything it needs, it will manifest. We forget how to listen. We just shut down when it comes to listen to your body. The simple answer for this is we are always in a rush. We have always so many important things to do, people to take care of, and we just simply have no time until the pain will come, like, on very severe level, or we will be diagnosed with something, and then it's the step back and it's like, oh my gosh, I need to take care of myself. So your example with the pain shoulder, this is something which I'm saying to my patients, okay? Any pain, any symptom in your body, it's the scream from your body saying like, hey, I'm important. Take care of me, okay?
Yes. It's funny. I've had so many things running in my brain while you've been speaking, and frankly, the emotional connection to illness and pain, all by itself, like that one piece, if that became a common knowledge acceptance, it would change medicine completely. And I'm thinking about the fact that. I also think about the fact that the things that are currently blocking that from the current model. The fact that, there's that we divide everything into parts. So the heart is separate from the mind, which is separate from the body, and the spirit isn't even necessarily mentioned at all. But the fact that we go for symptoms so often, trying to relieve symptoms. And I've been angry for a long time about how little allopathic medicine looks for root causes, allopathic being mostly Western medicine, looking for root causes. But if most of the time the root causes are emotional, like that's another reason people aren't looking, because there's just so much, there's a lot of shame and anxiety and suppression of our emotional states. Admitting we need help, even now going to therapy is still, there's a little bit of a stigma associated with that. So actually asking, so for a doctor to ask their patient, what's your emotional state right now? What might be connecting, why might your liver be struggling? What's that region of your body? Are you holding anger or whatever? And so it's just another interesting piece that needs to heal, I guess, is our perception of our own emotions, and that we're allowed to have them, and that we are allowed to talk about them, and that they do in fact play such a huge role in all the rest of our health.
Absolutely. This is exactly what you said, because when you wake up in the morning, okay, and you feel happy for no reason, you just woke up, the day goes better, okay? When you wake up in the morning and you start clicking in the mind, oh my gosh, I gotta do this, I didn't that, or blah, 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 and like you start your day automatically setting up your emotion on the negative. And this is what you kind of go through the day. And the same emotions will kind of blueprint on your body function. Okay, so when this happened, from the very simple thing, how you had your breakfast and how your body is actually capable to break the food to the little particles, allowing the absorption of the minerals, nutrition, whatever we need for the energy to go through until the next, whatever we have to do plus next meal. The fact how you sit down and allow the body to welcome the food with the positive or the negative, it's a huge impact. Huge impact. We're talking about hormones involved. We're talking about enzymes involved. We're talking about the whole who we are and what allowed us to function. So, like you said, when you go to the doctor, they're not going to ask you about your emotional state. Well, sometimes they will ask, oh, any stress in your life? Well, who doesn't?
That's true.
Not a very useful question.
Okay. But the same way, they're not going to ask you, what do you eat? There is no questions like that.
Yeah, it's staggering to me that they still don't ask you what you eat. And because because that's not even like the emotional, in the United States, again, I feel like emotions are still, they're still held at arm's length and don't want to get too involved with that piece of a person, a piece of the patient about their emotional states, but not even asking what the food they're consuming. It's confusing to me that it's still so not integrated about what people are putting into their bodies.
Do you know why they're not asking this?
I don't know, actually.
Well, when you go through the curriculum for medical school, used to be 2 hours of nutrition. Right now they extend to whole month in 4 years.
That's an improvement, but
Woo.
That's still not much.
It is, I guess.
We're getting there. So, and even from my perspective, when I get referrals from academic doctors and specialists, simply because, and they admit that on many levels, many times, okay? I have no clue what you're talking about the nutrition. I have no clue what do you mean by that. So yes, they realizing this for so many different situations. They say the patient needs to go any surgery and they need to lose weight, okay? Or there is issues with the actual academic doctors realizing, yeah, it is like, because of the diet. So go and see dietitian, go to see whatever nutritionist, okay? So we have some kind of movement, but is there something which will actually make a huge difference right now? Not yet. Because when I see patients who are suffering from cancer and they are going through all of the treatments and they ask their oncologist, what should I eat? And they will tell them, oh, whatever you feel like. It doesn't matter.
Really?
No. Well, you know what? That's the moment when I'm ready to scream.
Understandably, that's insane.
But that's the truth. I had situation, guys, you're not going to believe that, so many times patients coming and saying, when I'm going to ask them, okay, so how often do you go to washroom? How often do you have your bowel movements? Well, I go once a week, but my doctor said that's okay as long as once a week. Is there anything?
Doesn't sound good to me.
So, yes, this is the huge gap when we don't look into why is this happening. Because bottom line is anything and everything comes from food. We are what we eat. We are what is eating us. Because that's important too. Okay. And the funny thing is, it's important how we eat.
It's so true, because I forget the proportions now, but there is more cells of bacteria in our guts, in our gut biome, than there are cells in the rest of our body.
Yes.
So what we put into our body that then proliferates our gut biome has a massive impact on us as people.
Absolutely.
Because, if you're eating, let's go with the typical horrible American diet. if you're eating McDonald's all the time and all of a sudden you've got all of these particular bacteria that love McDonald's and they multiply like crazy, it doesn't mean that it's adding to the health of your body.
No.
You're just tipping the
There's
scales.
nothing healthy bacteria when it comes to McDonald's. Let's be
No, it's true. You see those studies where they take the cheeseburger and the fries and they leave it out exposed to the elements for a month and it doesn't rot. And then they take a homemade burger and it rots within a few hours. And it's like you're eating something that the elements don't want. Like, ugh.
But when we, even like I said, it is important because we are what we eat, what is eating us and how we eat. And now when you look at it, you can have a very healthy meal, but you're eating alone. Your body will break down the food a bit different when you have a good company.
Really?
That's very interesting. Huh.
Absolutely. Now, when you feel alone, lonely, your serotonin and everything is all over the place. We're sad, we have not the greatest kind of inner feelings. When you are with a good company, times fly. We laugh, we had a good time, we discuss, we enjoy the meal. So many times we don't pay attention to it. Why is so important for the families to eat together? How important it is to have connections, and it doesn't have to be always the romantic one, but especially right now with the COVID situation, guys. When we are locked, not being able to socialize, and trust me, I am far away of loving technology as a way of communicating. But even when what we do right now, if anyone is alone and having the meal alone, just call your friend who probably is alone too. Guys, set up the monitors, whatever, talk to each other, have the meal together. Okay? Allow your body to have at least a tip of sense, I'm not alone. Loneliness is one of the worst triggers for many sickness in humans. And again, we don't pay attention to that. But what I'm seeing, especially the past year, which was a huge bucket of cold water on each of our us, okay? How quickly everything can change. How quickly the whole world can stand up on their head and we don't know what's going on. What kind of impact this have on us, how much we can actually realize, and how much we are trying not to see. Okay, we're covering. We don't know how to deal with. And each of this will affect our health. There is no question asked.
No, it's so true. It's so true. For COVID has been this wake-up call for humanity of making you become aware of how you've been living your life, and is this the kind of life you want to live? And like here in the States, you've been seeing a lot of, I'm not sure if it's happening also up in Canada, but here in the States, you're seeing a lot of people being like, when people have been forced to live in their homes for so long, they start realizing, do I even like my home? And you're seeing this mass exodus of people from a lot of the major cities here in the States going to smaller cities or rural areas because they're kind of like I'm living in this like 450 square foot box surrounded by people I don't know, and like just why? Like I don't want to be here anymore. And yeah, you have that kind of self-realization, you know. You've been hearing it a lot when it comes to romantic relationships, because you had no choice but to interact with your partner if you had one. And if there were already cracks in that relationship, they're going to turn into chasms because the stress of COVID, makes the cracks grow bigger. Or you can get more integrated with your partner and realize, oh wow, like I am with the right person because I can lock arms with them and we can fight against this war with COVID together as a unison. And
Eric, I hope you realize you just pointed one by one again emotions, how they play the role.
yeah.
Okay. So again, we're going to, like you see, everything goes to the same directions. Okay.
Absolutely.
And any situation we're going to look at it, it will be based on emotions. Our body will kind of act based on emotion. Our all systems, organs, all systems function based on emotion. So going to like, we don't have control in a way what is going on when it comes to COVID outside, but we do have control how we react to it. And this is the most important, because speaking of emotions, loneliness and fear, two killers. Okay. And this is the two of the most, like I said, triggers, the biggest triggers in a body to activate systems, activate situation which the body will produce or manifest by the end of the whatever with some kind of disease. So it is important again, and I cannot stretch this enough when it comes to especially last year. Like you mentioned, we have kind of more, we're realizing more of our surrounding, how we live, with who we live, what we do, what we want to change, what doesn't serve us anymore, which a year ago you wouldn't even think about this. Okay. But my question in this is, okay, great. We have this knowledge here and now, and what we're going to do with this after when the COVID is, say it, a history? Are we going back to the same habits, or are we going to actually continue to be more connect with what we want, who we are, what makes us happy, okay? What we can do to feel better, because that's the main key, okay? Am I healthy? What I'm doing to my body, okay? I don't know, guys, if you know that, but the average last year gain weight 25 to 30 pounds.
Good God.
Yeah.
Wow.
25 to 30 pounds in 1 year. In North America, we are living in countries with obese people with cardiovascular issues, with so many connected to the diet. And right now, we just kind of have the bloom of another huge gain of weight. Now, right now, we're seeing people actually waking up and saying, like, holy moly, for a year, I was wearing the PJs, and now I cannot fit in my pants, so I gotta do something about, okay? So again, another wake-up call.
And why your medicine's so good, because as you said, so the obesity isn't, isn't just about sitting still, and it's about self-medicating, right? It's that you're eating because we're lonely, because we're afraid, because it makes us feel better. It's a comfort. We don't have people, so we use the food instead, and that's a huge reason why people have gained the weight. So it's all connected to the emotions.
Absolutely.
Once again.
Absolutely.
And for me, I know I've read in other places about the role of illness as the wake-up call, and that COVID does, in a culture that has been struggling with these issues for a long time, COVID is a weird opportunity, right? Because you said it earlier, that people often, they ignore and they ignore and they ignore until they can't ignore anymore. And for a lot of people, COVID has created that circumstance where they can't ignore anymore. And I guess that's the question of whether we're going to really change or not, is how many people are reaching that point where they're actually saying, oh, I really have to change what I'm eating, how I'm feeling, who I associate with, my emotional states, and I'm willing to do what I have to do to heal. And if enough, I guess that's really the question, right? Is how many people are really going to take this opportunity and then see real changes, and then demand more of the kind of clinics that you have, more opportunities for the kind of healing that are really, don't just give us a pill for our high blood pressure, but let's talk about why I have gained 25 pounds this year and what I'm going to do to heal.
I can see more and more people reaching to me and asking, what can I do to improve? And it's not only about losing weight, but they realizing, okay, COVID, immunity, what do I do? Okay, so I can see a huge spike when it comes to very young people. I'm talking even about teenagers contacting me and asking, can you help me to, what should I learn? What book I should read? Or what are the minerals? Or explain to me what is hair analysis, okay? What do I learn from it? So this is something which makes me happy, because I'm saying, okay, so we do have people who actually are awake. People who are trying to take control on what they can take control. So your body, you're the driver, okay? So this is the vehicle. So let's maintenance, let's take care of it. And let's treat this as a, I don't know, Ferrari, and give to it what needed before it's gonna scream for it. And this is something which, again, I'm giving example to majority of my guys, patients, when I'm gonna ask them, what do you drive? And if I'll ask them, did you ever forget an oil change in a car? No, we didn't. Do you know when is the red light and showing there's low pressure in the tire? What do? You just continue driving, or? And then it's like, oh, when you said that, well, this is not that different, okay? Because your body will manifest. When you eat and you bloat after food, that is your body telling me, guess what? I have a problem to break this down. Okay? When you eat and you have the acid reflux, okay? That is your body telling you, actually, this doesn't work for me. When you wake up and you have the feeling you need to clear your throat, that's your body telling you, hey, you know what? We had problem with the acid last night, and we burned a bit the esophagus, so there is something happening. Okay? There is so many tiny bit symptoms giving you hints, okay? Pay attention. When you start having a foggy brain, okay, just simply forgetting stuff, or stop for a moment what I was going to do, it's indication there is something going on in your guts. Okay, there is so many things so clearly directing to what's going on in our body, and we can fix that without medication if we actually pay attention early enough to just take care of it before the big boom comes. Okay, and that applies to absolutely everything.
Yeah, I know there's lots of pieces and parts. I'd love to segue into talking a bit more about the gut specifically, because more and more people are becoming more aware of both gut health, microbiome, and the and leaky gut syndrome. Could you tell us more about what leaky? A lot of people are like, yeah, there's something with the gut, but they don't know any details. So
Yeah.
I'd love for you to give us some details about leaky gut syndrome and some of the what it is, what causes it, why it's a problem.
Sure. Well, leaky gut, what I'm seeing in the past 10 years, it's growing faster than I would say obesity. Okay, it's a huge issue.
Mm.
It doesn't have age gap. I have patients as young as 4 years old and 80 something, 90 something, okay, with the same syndrome. So where is leaky gut? It's a funny name, but it's very kind of visual name, because actually it is, when it comes to our intestine, where the walls are opening, they start, whatever is going through there, start leaking to the bloodstream. Okay, so the full name is the intestine permeability. Not too many people know that. So we use the leaky gut. So where is this coming from? Food. Not only it's chemicals, it's toxins. And as you know, we are surrounded with toxins. We are breathing toxins, we're putting toxins on our skin, we are drinking toxins, we eat toxins, and the body struggle to deal with. So what happened is, based on what we eat, and like I said, how much we are exposed to different toxins, the body will react when it comes to inflammation in intestine. Okay, so the intestine are the longest, the biggest, to absorb all the nutritions, whatever we eat, and use this as an energy source for our functions in the body, whatever we need. Okay, when the inflammation allow the intestine to open and start leaking, the body will recognize this as something which shouldn't be there in the bloodstream, so automatically react with autoimmune reactions. And the list for that is huge. Okay, fibromyalgia. We see so many people actually struggling with leaky gut, not knowing. People with any issues when it comes to digestion, IBS, Crohn's, you name it. Okay, it's huge. Allergies, seasonal allergies, headaches, migraines, neurological disorders. Okay, everything actually is combined with the gut. So when we think our gut is our second brain, it's a truth. If we don't take care of the gut, that will provoke some other symptoms, severe, sometimes very serious disease in the body. And when it comes to leaky gut, there is a percentage it could be genetic. Okay. Yes. What do you do with this when you suspect maybe you do suffer from leaky gut? I always ask my patients, okay, when you eat, do you feel energetic? or you feel, okay, I will have a nap for 10 minutes. When you eat, do you feel any bloating? Do you have any eczema, any skin rashes? Do you feel you struggle to go relieve yourself, okay, when it comes to washroom? Do you have any memory issues, concentration issues? Do you have pain, joint pains? Everything indicate leaky gut. The test to confirm, it's a very easy test. We call this dry blood test. It's just a poke in the finger, like we do the glucose levels. And we're sending this to the lab. We get the results, and we're testing 4 different markers. We're testing zonulin, we're testing DAO, we're testing histamine, and we're testing DAO and histamine ratio. Zonulin is a protein which our body produces. DAO, it's enzyme. Histamine is the neurotransmitter, okay? And when we talk about, even for people who try to eat organic, they're very careful what they eat, how they prepare the food, and the choices. Even them suffer from leaky gut. And when I will say to someone, do you like avocado? Of course. It's a very healthy fruit. And at the same time, it's a very high in histamine, which can provoke the allergic reaction in your body, and you don't even know that. Okay? Spinach is very high in histamine. And we eat salad. But listen, I eat salad. I eat healthy. Well, guess what? Your body struggles with this because of the all inflammation going on. So again, it's not only people who eat the fast foods or McDonald's and stuff like that. Many times we have situation, people who are very, like I said, very, very proactive when it comes to food. And if they see the symptoms in the body, if they feel not fully healthy, it's mostly gonna be indication of the leaky gut. And it's, like I said, this is something which is growing year by year. I assume is because it's a consequences of production of our food using chemicals, pesticides, and GMO. Now we are out of the GMO, but the damage is done.
And how do you feel about how loneliness and fear is contributing to the poor gut health also?
Absolutely. That's another aspect which, like I said, we are not gonna digest the food fully if we are under fear, if we are suppressed with our loneliness. That is a huge, huge aspect of it, and we cannot ignore that. So again, we need to look into our guts as the driver of how we function and what we should do to improve it on every level, including the emotional, including the spiritual. There is no question asked.
That's so accurate. So I'll give a very quick personal example. So I have a slew of digestive issues. So I have an incredibly regimented diet. And I've noticed I'm in a business group that meets every Wednesday morning. And sometimes when I eat my normal things that I eat, but on the same day where I have the business group, my stomach gets all out of whack and I get nauseous and cramping and things like that. But then on every other day, the same exact thing, it's perfectly fine. And it goes back again with what you just said for me, it's fear, it's anxiety, it's I'm nervous because of the business group and all the stuff that's associated with that. And so it's so true that, you know, that mentality, like where your mind is when you're consuming food impacts the body's reaction to it. And so it's just, for so long, I've always made the connection of I ate something bad. And instead of me being like, how do I feel when I'm eating?
Yes.
And I've never made that connection 100% till just now. And that's really interesting that it's like, I am more nervous than I'm realizing during that particular group.
Well, I'll give you one more hint when it comes to this.
Please.
Every time when you feel the anxiety, every time when you feel a pain in your body, close your eyes and try to connect, what do I really feel at this moment? And you will see many times it's going to be fear or anger. Okay. So there will be always something which will provoke, okay, action reaction. So when it comes to this, people with joint pains, when they have the flare, okay, ask them, what do you feel now? Think about if there was any situation which makes you angry, because joint pain is anger, okay? So when it comes to, like you mentioned, when you are before any meetings, when we have the anxiety, we feel like insecure, we don't know, like automatically your body will start completely different panels of hormones, okay? Because what we're doing, we're releasing the stress hormones, okay? What I will say before that meeting, can you please go into your happy place when you eat? Make your body balance the hormones when it comes to the stress hormones. Let's just push the happy hormones, okay? And you're gonna feel better. Your body will feel better. You're gonna digest better. And definitely you're gonna perform better.
No, and you're dead right. Me being more integrated with my own body is something I've been putting more focus to in more recent years. And yeah, when I do really create the space to kind of, you know, prepare so that I don't get anxious, so I feel more secure, and also just allow myself to kind of, if I'm feeling anxious, to let myself feel it and then let it pass, or even tap on it with the EFT and things like that, then I'm perfectly fine. But yeah, just like what you were saying earlier on in the conversation, we get just kind of stuck in the, you know, I have 3,000 things I need to do. And then we don't take the time to just take a moment and assess, like, how do I feel? What's going on? Do I feel something in my body? Am I feeling some emotion that I'm not consciously 100% aware of? And we don't do that enough at all.
And that's caused the problems. The most common one, and I will just talk about moms. Okay, I'm a mother, and we have tendency to completely disregard ourselves because we have kids to take care of. We have households to take care of, and we're working, and we have husbands, wives, or whatever, and we just don't have time for ourselves. And that's the moment when I always try to make them to realize, because like I said, I learned this my way, very hard way. Well, guess what? If it wasn't me, the rest is not going to happen. So I have to take care of myself to be able to take care of others. And you have no clue how many times I've been clashed because I said, if you don't love yourself, you are not capable to love others. What do you mean? Well, that's what I mean. And I know it's harsh. But this is the whole thing, which we're forgetting. And Eric, you're absolutely right. We allowed our lives, our body, who we are, to be take care, like, with the society, with whatever is happening and how it's happening and the business and this and that. But when we actually break down, when we put the brakes and stop for a second, okay, and see, okay, if this is so important, why I'm not important? What do I have to prove and to who? Why I'm putting myself in a position to question, to doubt, to feel uncomfortable, to be very insecure. And this is what the society is making us. But again, we're going back to the same. Do we have the way to control the society? No. But I have the power to control how I react to it. And that's something which I was, and until today, my kids are adults, but we still have kind of the reminding calls, okay? Nothing is more important than you, period. Any business, any huge company successes, if it wasn't you, they are not existing.
You're totally right. And, selfishness may have this negative connotation, but at the same time, if just like what you just said, if you don't take care of yourself, you can't contribute to anything else. If you give every drop of energy and life that you have, it will kill you, and then you have nothing to give. It's that classic, the airplane situation. You put the mask on yourself first before you help other people, because otherwise you'll suffocate as you're trying to help other people. Exactly. And yeah, and for caregivers, mothers in particular, women in particular, it is so difficult to prioritize, to get a person to prioritize themselves when they've been in that caregiver role for so long, because they feel like they're robbing the people around them that they care about, that they love, what they think they deserve. And it's like, well, what about you? Like, exactly. You need to take care of you.
Not only this, fathers, guys, if you look into the household with the kids, okay, and we are on a position, okay, I do this for my kids. I want to give them better future. I want to give them this. I want to give them that, okay? But at the same time, with teaching them, I need to suffer, and this is your future. So you don't have to take care of yourself. What you have to take care of is this, and that. And that will take care of, no. Because like I said, I learned this very hard way. But at the same time, I figured out, guess what? If I don't wash the dishes just after when we finish our dinner, but I will sit down and have a conversation with my kids, nothing will happen. There was no war, there was no murder, there was nothing like, in a neighborhood because I didn't wash the dishes, okay? The most important is, again, the moment when we're realizing, okay, I am important, you are important, we are important, okay? And we need to make this a whole. And again, we're going back to wholeness. We start from the health, we're gonna go into the family, we're gonna go into relationships, okay? There is nothing good coming when we're sacrificing ourselves, thinking, oh, I'm making, I don't know, some big things, I don't know, something which will stay forever. But this have no value if you're dead, if you burn out. There is no value in this. So we should be more, again, and just the fact with right now, with what is happening, this is the most, I will say, the most unbelievable wake-up call to all of us. And I'm not sure how many actually sees this the same way, but this is the moment when we should sit down and have a bit little chit chat with ourselves and just realize being selfish is not negative. It's self-awareness. And there is two differences. So that's something which, like I said, something which we need to kind of re-evaluate the meaning of it.
No, it's so true. I heard this saying relatively recently of, probably going to butcher it a little bit, but serving someone from your saucer, that you fill the teacup first, you fill yourself first, and then what overflows into your saucer is what you give away, because it's beyond what you need.
Yeah.
Because if you are fulfilling your own needs to your potentials, you're acting as your best version of you. You're your healthiest, you're your most emotionally integrated, you're your most spiritual, and thus you can be the best business owner, the best parent, the best friend, the best spouse, the best neighbor, because you're not as easy. You have more internal strength, you have more internal resilience, you literally have more resources, and then you can give more.
And you don't have to be perfect.
God, no.
You don't have to be perfect.
God, no.
Imperfection is perfect.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
So we don't have to prove anything to anyone. And beside that, like I said, self-love is the most important, the most effective on every level. And by saying this, I know what I'm good at. I know what I suck at. And I'm okay with this. So I accept that. And trust me, the time when I actually realized that was the whole new meaning of life for me. Just like, the door opened. And I was like, holy moly, I'm home.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wish the same aha moment to everyone from the bottom of my heart.
I do too. And the next thing I'm thinking about, the next piece of that, which is for what folks can do to support themselves. Where do they find that support? What are some routes to go in order to get there's mental health practitioners. I'm thinking also, leaky gut. Gosh, like it sounds like everyone, at least in the United States, could start with assuming they probably have leaky gut and to work on that to see if that helps any symptoms that they have, because it's A, so widespread, and B, so overwhelmingly a negative impact. And I'd be shocked if every American anyway didn't have some leaky gut issue because of all our toxins, all our stress, all our fear and loneliness, all of our antibiotics, all those things. So as far as, and then we also live in the United States, which has a difficult healthcare system, to say the least, and finding people who take insurance who understand any of this stuff is actually rather difficult. I know we have like naturopathic doctors, we have integrative medicine practitioners who I assume would work with people with leaky gut. As far as like, what do you recommend for resources for people for getting the help they need, for both the kind of practitioners they can go to with this idea of leaky gut, and then also what they can do on their own to maybe, obviously mental health is a huge piece, but like maybe the kind of food, inflammatory food sounds like there's a piece, what else they can do to help support their guts?
Well, there is two sides of sources. So one, when we see Google as a Dr. Google, which I completely don't recommend. Okay. But there are sites on Google which will give quite detailed information about symptoms, how you can actually self-diagnose if you have any of those. So that's an easy one. You can find quite a lot on my website too. But mostly what I will say, if you can find a practitioner who actually cover this, and I can see more and more practitioners right now kind of adding this to their modalities in the practice. If you can find someone, if you can test yourself, make sure, because like I mentioned, we are testing for 4 markers. Doesn't mean all of them needs to come positive to be diagnosed with leaky gut. Sometimes it's one out of the normal range and will cause problems, okay? But the easy way to how you can help yourself if, say, the practitioner is not in the reach or some, like, you know, the way you can actually go and see it. Observe your body when you eat. Okay, so when you eat and you feel bloated, you feel heaviness, you feel sleepy, you feel sometimes headache, you scratch yourself, okay? Just pay attention to that and go back and think what I had on my plate. Now, using Google, you're gonna have the histamine high rich foods, okay? You're gonna have foods which will provoke inflammation, gluten, dairy, okay? So what I'm always saying to anyone who actually decide, okay, so what can I do to see if that's the case? Remove dairy for a month. See how you feel. Okay? Remove gluten for a month. See how you feel. So those things you can do it at home. In severe situations, and again, right now with the technology, many of us do virtual consultations, okay? Those tests, we are able to send it to the patients, doesn't matter where they are. I have people from Europe, which we were treating, we were doing the tests, we are building the protocols and helping long distance. That's the good part of the technology. Going back to Dr. Google, please be aware. You're gonna have many false diagnostic, and there is the list of the supplements you take and it's gonna fix the problem. No, you can make more harm than good. Try to find the practitioner who actually covered this. Try to help yourself the smart way. Even sometimes what I get, I will have requests for a consultation. I have always, my first consultation is free. And I will explain to them, okay, this indicates more into this than leaky gut. So go and see your physician or go and see your, I don't know, naturopath, and they will know what to do. Ask maybe for those tests, okay? So there is ways how to help, doesn't matter where we are, because of the connection and virtual. And that's the good thing. And we should use that. We should utilize that. On the other hand, again, YouTube. There is so many amazing, amazing doctors, practitioners who have videos explaining exactly what is leaky gut, how this impact the body, okay? Giving us very visual information because many of us are visual. Many of us just need to read to get that. So it's a bit different, but there is so many sources, and thanks God for that.
Wonderful. Thank you for all of that. And we'll have your website as well in the notes for this episode as well, so people can reach out to you directly if they want to learn more.
If anyone have a question, like I said, don't hesitate to contact me. I'm always here to help. And sometimes, like I said, it could be a quick Zoom consultation. Many of the people calling me, and we can have the conversation over the phone or email. If I can help, I'm here to help.
That's
Wonderful.
awesome.
Wonderful.
So before we let you go, Hanna, do you have any last words of wisdom for us and our listeners?
Like I said, I cannot stress enough to make everyone more aware of how important it is what we think of ourselves, how we feel about ourselves, how important we are, how loving creatures we are. Okay? And just carry on with the feeling like, you know what? It doesn't matter what the society said. It doesn't matter what the world is saying, okay? I am my own universe. And let it be that way. Be your own universe, okay? Allow your body to feel that. Allow yourself to make mistakes. Learn from it, okay? Don't doubt. Because we're learning by mistakes. We're learning by making wrong choices, and that's perfectly fine. Let it be. But the most important is, like I said, self-love. That's the most important, self-love. Love others the same way. Love yourself, so you will love others.
Beautifully said.
Yes. Thank you so much for being with us today. So appreciate it. It's been a wonderful conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. And like I said, guys, I love the fact what you do, because you're reaching other people. And I'm sure there is some people who, because of you, they have some difference in their lives. So please continue to do this.
Thank you. That's very sweet.
Yes, thank you for that. We
And
love
ditto
doing
to
it.
you.
Yes.
You're helping lead the
Thank
way
you.
as well of opening people's eyes to just the importance of self-love and that introspection, with oneself around food, around your emotions and one's health. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you, listeners and viewers, for participating. And we'll see you all next week.